Hi everyone, good morning. Today is 19th of October and I welcome you all to the Hindu newspaper analysis discussion. Guys, let's start with the video. In this particular video, we are going to take up the entire analysis of Hindu newspaper. We'll take all articles along with the background as well as way forward. And I would like to tell you that you can download synoptic notes of this particular session from Telegram channel. Link for Telegram is given in description box in YouTube. Now let's see first of all overview of entire newspaper so that we can understand that which articles are important in today's paper. So first page, Israel and Hamas trade blame over hospital blast. So recently we have seen that on one of our hospital there was an attack was carried in the Gaza city. Now Palestinians and Israel, the Hamas and Israel, they are both are putting the responsibilities on each other for this particular thing. India has also, the Prime Minister has also shown outrage over this particular incident. Okay, moving on. However, government clears bonanza of 15,000 crore rupees for the staff. Okay, then guys we have advertisement and all such kind of a things, not important, obviously you need not to go in that. Then city section 4 convicted of Soumya Vishwanathan's murder. Okay, so basically guys here we have law and order crime related issues, regional issues and these tenders etc. Okay, and then we have these advertisements, so we will be skipping it. Then a large number of political articles are there in city section. If you are having some different edition of the Hindu, maybe Chennai edition, Hyderabad edition, then this particular section will be different in your paper. Then moving on, guys. So we don't have relevant articles, therefore we directly reach to editorial. And in editorial, the explosion of digital uncertainty. We'll take this article. This article is talking about how AI, artificial intelligence, will lead to certain uncertainties. Then this article is talking about the inflationary trends. So we have seen that in the month of September, inflation has eased to 5%. However, before that, inflation has been 15-month high. 15-month high. So when we talk about inflation in the context of India, we target a band that is 4% plus minus 2%, means 2% to 6%. 4% plus 2 minus 2% means 2 to 6% is the inflation band of India. However, inflation has been beyond this for a very long period of time. Okay, now moving on, guys, in this particular direction. Moving on in this particular direction, then we have this article, the BRI at 10, some hits, many misses. We'll take this particular article for the examination also. Then sea service, this article talks about a new ferry service that has got started between Tamil Nadu and northern Sri Lanka. Okay, we'll take this particular article for examination. Then guys, further moving on, the measure of the working women. Now this particular article is actually talking about that how, due to a lot of domestic responsibilities on the women, they have to how, because of the domestic responsibilities, women are not able to contribute in economy, their efforts are not counted. We'll take this article. Then this is the state of play article. Despite no evidence, BJP has tried to link ruling Congress to the seized money. No need. Political article. Then further moving on, the underdogs day out in World Cup. Okay, so basically, guys, it is talking about the performance of the country, the performance of the different teams on the World Cup, and all such things have been given. You can see the table. However, if you have interest, you can read it. But for exam point of view, no need to go too much in detail in this particular article. Then coming to text and context page, the Aboriginal referendum in Australia. Will take this particular article. Briefly, we will understand what are the relevant points for the examination. Then on next page, we have this bibliography article. Nordic writers keep alive a troubled, brilliant hacker created by Stieg Larsson. Okay, so basically in the bibliography article, they talk about the aka premise from some of the books. Now, article doesn't contains UPSC related substance, so no need to go too much in detail in this. Then after that, moving on, probe Adani Group for jacking up prices of coal imports. Rahul. Now, again, largely this particular article contains the political statements, political articles. Modi expresses shock over explosion at hospital in Gaza. So first page article, already we have discussed it. Then after that, moving on, guys, in this particular direction, BJP not in panic in MP. Again, nothing much important. Then these tenders etc. they come. India will explore building large language model. We'll take this particular article for the examination. Okay. After that, uh, committee on marriage bill gets another extension. So basically, guys, what has happened, just to give you a little bit context of this particular thing, let me zoom it out so that it is more clear. Okay, committee on marriage gets another extension. So right now, no need to go in this article, but let me explain you some background information. So right now, when we talk about minimum age for marriage, we have a law, Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006. And as per the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006, age for marriage, minimum age for marriage for women, girls is 18 years, and for boys it is 21 years. Okay. Last to last year, there was a committee that was constituted by the government, Jaya Jetli Committee. This Jaya Jetli Committee recommended that the women's marriageable age is to be increased to 21 years on par with the boys. Now, that particular suggestion was taken up, and on that thing, this parliamentary committee has been established. And this parliamentary committee is seeing this matter whether to increase the age of marriageable age for women from 18 to 21. Now, this committee has been given a 3-month extension. This committee has been given the 3-month extension that has happened. So, till that, no need to go in that particular article. You should be knowing about this particular development. Then, guys, further moving on in this particular direction, India likely to sign deal with US for 31 MQ 9B drones. We'll take this article. Ayodhya Ram Temple Trust to receive FCRA license to accept foreign donation. FCRA stands for Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Under FCRA Act, every NGO or organization which is receiving the funding from the foreign sources need to have a license under FCRA. Okay. Then on world page, Israel to allow aid to move into Gaza from Egypt. Joe Biden. Europe condemns the death of hundreds of civilians in attack in Gaza hospital. So the same article. Now, guys, every such statement is not needed to be followed for examination. Okay, escalating tension is Gaza come under sharp focus in civil war scarred Sri Lanka. Okay, then guys, center has raised MSP for Rabi crops. Now you are not really required to see that 150 per quintal Rabi has been increased. Okay, so the farmers are not happy because they say the price or the increase in the MSP is very marginal. It's very marginal. Then guys, we have the corporate trends, etc. here. Then we have sports page. And guys, in last, science page is there, though in most of the printed edition science page does not comes. Even text and context that we have seen above, it does not come, so don't worry, we will cover it here. Now, science page, sometimes it contains relevant articles, but sometimes it goes into the core science, core physics, chemistry, biology, etc. Okay, now today's article that we have, how quantum algorithms solve a problem that classical computers can't. So a quantum algorithm, what it is, how it uses the quantum gates to manipulate data, what is the different approach that it takes over the classical computer. So it is provided here. Now, guys, for UPSC examination, these kind of articles are not important because we are giving an examination in which UPSC itself mentions in the syllabus that aspirants need to have the generalist approach towards the subjects. Now, such core article in computing, core article on theoretical physics, sometime core article on medicine comes where they are comparing the different diagnosis methodology, treatment methodology, etc. So no need to go in that particular thing for exam point of view. Then moving on. Okay, there are some comments. There are some. Now we are going to take these articles one by one in detail. So before that, let's take some of the doubts that are there. Right to marry is an inferred right under Article 21. So it is not FR. Understand this thing. What you think Article 21 contains, what I think Article 21 contains does not matters. What Supreme Court says Article 21 contains, that is something that matters. Supreme Court provided yesterday in the article, we have seen that right to marry is not a fundamental right. You cannot ask it. Therefore, homosexual people have not been given it. This is the latest interpretation of Supreme Court. This is the latest interpretation of Supreme Court. Okay. Then, sir, please start new batch for ethics in November or December. Dear, we'll try to see that thing. If there becomes a possibility, we'll definitely do that, and I will consider this thing very positively. uh, okay, Telegram is not opening. Just go to Telegram and search Thinking Palette by Sahil. Directly you will find the Telegram channel, and from there you can download the synoptic notes of this particular session. These are the synoptic notes where we take GS quotation and we discuss take the detailed notes of the articles. Now, so in today we are going to take the quotation from Martin Luther King Jr., civil right activist, civil right activist from US. Martin Luther King Jr. says, non-violence means avoiding not only external physical violence, but also internal violence of spirit. You not only refuse to shoot a man, but you refuse to hate him. You refuse to hate him. So, non-violence just not simply means the absence of physical violence, physical tension. It also means the absence of deprivations, absence of inequalities, absence of injustice that is being meted on people, sometimes on name of caste, sometimes on name of religion, sometimes on name of ethnicity, nationality, or such kind of things. So, this is the real meaning of non-violence. Physical non-violence as well as spiritual non-violence should be abided in the spirit. You can use this particular quotation. You can use this particular quotation for GS paper number 4, ethics as well as essay. Okay. Now, first article for today. So, first article we have picked up from text and context section. What article reads? Article reads the Aboriginals referendum in Australia. Okay. Now, this particular article, guys, we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 2, GS paper number 2, comparison of the constitution of other countries with the Indian constitution. So we briefly need to know about some of constitutional developments that are going on in the major democracies. When we talk about Australia, Australia happens to be an important partner for India, and already ECTA, that is the ECTA free trade agreement have also been signed with the Australia. Okay, economic cooperation and trade agreement has also been signed. So what actually has happened, there is a referendum that has been carried in Australia. But before going on in this particular article, first let's understand some basic information, then we'll go in detail. Okay. So basically, guys, what happened? First of all, when we talk about Australia, in Australia, few things you need to know. Number one, Australia has a written constitution, and any provision of constitution of Australia can be recommended by double majority. What is this double majority? First of all, a referendum will be carried. For the amendment, and then referendum has to be passed. What is referendum? Any provision that you are amending will be put to vote for the common public has to vote. One more thing, guys, I want to tell you that since 1924 in Australia, voting is compulsory, and because of this particular thing, voter turnout rate in Australia happens to be one of the highest in the world. Around 90 to 91% is voter turnout rate in Australia. Okay, so I told you, any provision, if it is to be passed, any amendment is to be brought in the constitution, it has to pass the double majority. Number one, referendum majority. Okay, more than 50% people should vote, should approve that yes, this amendment is to be brought. Number two, more than 50% of the states of Australia should also ratify, should also approve this constitutional amendment. Now, when we talk about Australia, Australia is subdivided in 6 states. It means 4 of the states out of 6 has to also approve the constitutional amendment. Only then that particular constitutional provision can be amended. Now, because of this particular thing, Australian constitution becomes very difficult to amend, and over 44 plus referendums have been raised, but only 8 have succeeded because of this difficult provision. Now, recently, a new referendum was carried up in Australia. Now, for what particular matter referendum was carried and what was the result? Let's understand this thing. Now, basically, guys, here just I will zoom out, and here you can see demographic profile of Australia. Demography means population and its constituents. Demo means people, graphy means a systemic study. So demography means a systemic study of population. When we talk about the demographical profile, means the profile with respect to the population of that particular country. Now, when we talk about population of Australia, you can see that 96% of Australian population is constituted by non-indigenous people, mean people who have came from outside other continents, non-native. 96% people are of non-indigenous people, and around 3.3% of the population of Australia is of indigenous people, native people, original inhabitants of Australia. 0.7% has not stated. So very clearly, more than 96% people is non-indigenous, around 3.3% people are indigenous, original natives. And when we talk about these 3.3 indigenous people, within that, within that, the biggest group is of aboriginals who constitute 91.4%. Within indigenous, okay, out of total population 3.3% in indigenous, and within the indigenous 91.4 are aboriginals and Torres Strait Islanders. They are 4.2%. They are 4.2%. Is it clear or not? They are 4.2%. So this is their population. This is their population. Now they say this particular thing, that these indigenous people against them, a lot of injustices have been committed over the last few years. For example, when we talk about the imprisonment rate is around 15 times higher amongst the indigenous people. This they say that it is because of the systemic discrimination that has been carried against the indigenous people. Moreover, it has been provided that when we talk about indigenous people, life expectancy in them is 71.6 for men and 75.6 for women. It happens to be way lower than the non-indigenous people. It is again because it has been said that the basically it has been provided that on non-indigenous people, social developmental etc focus has not been given on their enhancing their longevity. Often health services are denied to them. Social justice is not oriented towards them. Moreover, also it has been said that suicide rates also happens to be high in the indigenous people. So they want a special protection. They want a special protection. And therefore, what happened? A referendum was carried, and this referendum aimed to what the referendum was. So basically, the referendum was carried to create an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice. Okay, referendum to create Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders voice. Now, what is this voice? Voice is a formal body that will recommend the legislature in Australia with respect to the law making, that how when the laws are being framed or when the laws are being amended, how Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islander people's concern can be taken up. Okay, so this will give advice on the laws. This will give advice on the laws. And by this thing, it was expected that a special safeguard mechanism for indigenous people will come. They will not be excluded from government laws. They will not be excluded from the welfare laws. So to create this voice, a formal body for Aboriginals and Torres Strait Islanders, referendum was floated. However, in this referendum, what has happened? Basically, 60% of the people have voted no. Only 40% people has voted yes. Means the referendum has got defeated, and this formal voice will not be created. Now this proposal came on the basis of Uluru Statement from the Heart that was issued in 2017. What is this Uluru Statement? So 250 leaders who represented the cause of indigenous people, they say that special protection is needed to be given to indigenous people, and they provided that new institutions should be created for their protection. Number one, a constitutionally protected First Nations voice, which will be a dedicated body to recommend the laws for these people. And secondly, one more body, Macarthur Commission, is to be created. What is this Macarthur Commission? To oversee agreement and truth telling between government and First Nation. Now, what is this truth telling? It has been provided that often the history of Australia, it has not been properly represented. The rich art, culture, heritage of indigenous people, Aboriginal people, they have not been showcased to the world. So true history has not been depicted. So for that, this truth telling is to be taken up. So these were all the safeguards that they wanted, and for that referendum was carried. But I told you that referendum has got defeated. Referendum has got defeated, and in fact, bringing any change to the constitution of Australia is very difficult because of the double majority condition that I already have told you in the start. Okay, so this is guys all about it. Beyond this, you need not to go in this particular article for exam point of view. Okay, so this is guys all about it. I hope that you have understood. Now moving to next article. Okay, so here we have article, India will explore building large language model. India will explore building large language model. Now, basically guys, what has happened? So government has announced recently. So just a minute. Okay. So there was an event that was going on, and that event was US India Business Council and Quad Investors Network meeting. US India Business Council and Quad Investors Network meeting was going on. In this particular meeting, in this particular meeting, what has happened? What has happened? Principal scientific advisor Principal Scientific Advisor to the Government of India has announced that government has created a high-powered committee to explore the large language model. Now, first of all, I am telling you few things. You are not required to remember the name. That Principal Scientific Advisor had said this. All these things are not important. Which conference it has been said, not important. You need to understand the core article. So article provides this thing, that India is going to set up high powered committee to explore the development of large language model, LLM. Now what is the meaning of this large language model? What is this LLM? So basically, these now you might have used chat gpt. Now what is the feature of chat gpt? You'll go in chat gpt and you will type something. For example, tell me history of America in 500 words, and it will give you a type of an essay on history of America in 500 words. And it has a specific ability that it can convey all that particular information in a human like language. So robotic language and human like language have little bit of difference. Now this chat GPT, it is an artificial intelligence, and it is based on LLM. It is based on the large language model. So large language models are those particular tools that can harness artificial intelligence to create those applications that can understand and process human language, when we talk about chatbot, you will give some query, chatbot will reply you back. All these platforms, all these applications, all these AI, they are based on to the large language model, and they have a lot of application in the times to come. So this is a cornerstone technology. Cornerstone technology means a core technology on the basis of which many applications can be built. And chat gpt, bard AI, many such applications have developed in the last 1.5 year. So India is also going to create a large language model, and for that this high powered committee has been established. Now why India is going to do this particular thing? So basically guys, if you remember, few days back we have seen this particular thing also, that what happened, India has put out the draft national deep technology startup policy. Draft national deep tech startup technology. Now what are the deep tech startups? Deep tech startups are a particular type of startups which will focus on high end technologies. For example, semiconductor development, semiconductor design, artificial intelligence designs, algorithm development, space technology. Now we want to build, or we want to nurture startups on these particular technology, and for that this deep tech startup policy was announced. And as a part of this deep tech startup policy, this high powered committee has been constituted, which are going to explore the LLM, large language model. Okay, now specifically guys, it has been provided by India's G20 Sherpa. Now what is a G20 Sherpa? G20 Sherpa is a dedicated official who is responsible for conducting the official meetings within the G20. So the Sherpa of India was Mr. Amitabh Kant, and Mr. Amitabh Kant has provided this particular thing that India has actually made a large number of progress in last few years. For example, if I just tell you India's UPI India's UPI and India's payment transfer ecosystem is best in the world. In no country there is so much ease of receiving and sending the digital payments. So entire UPI, entire fintech ecosystem, Aadhaar, Coven, all these showcase the India's progress in technologies. So therefore now India wants to move forward, and now India is going into the deep technology such as semiconductor development, artificial intelligence development. And on that capacity, we are going to explore the LLM. And for that, India will also need a fund, which is a mother fund, which will be used for financing all these particular technologies. And India is collaborating with private organization. India is contacting with the private firms, foreign capital, so that money can be brought for these particular investment. Now understand this particular thing. Government is looking for patient capital. Now what is this meaning of patient capital? Now guys, you might be knowing this particular thing. That what has happened, a large money has been invested in a lot of startups, edutech startup, food delivery startups. Now when a venture capitalist is investing a money, that venture capitalist expects that within few years I get my money back, I get 2x, 5x, 8x of return. Therefore they pressurize the startups. Okay, but patient capital is one which is not expecting their capital in just 3, 4, 5 years. They have a long term horizon. So when we talk about these particular deep technologies, they will be giving output in a long period of time, because a lot of gestation period is needing for them. So India is also finding that how funding patient capital can also be provided to these deep tech technologies. And here USA is going to specifically help India. USA is going to specifically help India. Particularly, guys, we have seen that in the last few years, India US partnership has prospered a lot. Okay, in that capacity, defense cooperations are increasing, technology cooperations are increasing. Recently, ICET initiative was taken up. Okay, so this is about it. Now, I hope that you have understood it. Now, moving on to this next article. India likely to sign deal with USA for 31 MQ-9B drones by February 2023. February 2024. Sorry, February 2024. Now, first of all, let's understand the basic background of this particular article, and then we'll go in the detail of this particular article. By the way, in the notes that I have given, I have provided entire information about these MQ-9B drones, which is not provided in this article. So my advice is this: please download the synoptic notes. Now, let's understand this. So basically, what is this MQ-9B that is being talked about? So MQ9B, MQ9B is high altitude. MQ9B is high altitude, long endurance unmanned aerial vehicles. Okay, high altitude, long endurance unmanned vehicles. Okay. Now, guys, understand this particular thing. You know that India is facing a threat of two front war, and moreover, we have seen that in past few years, India's conflict with China has increased, and India need to carry a precise surveillance over the line of actual control over the Himalayan region. India has a 7,500 kilometer long coastline, and over the oceans also India need to carry surveillance. So for that particular thing, India right now has to use it aircraft. For example, light combat aircrafts and other aircrafts are being used. But using the aircraft involves a lot of wear and tear, and using an aircraft also is a very expensive kind of an affair. Therefore, India is now exploring to import high altitude which can fly over the horizon. Long endurance means for hours and hours of continuous flight they can take. Such unmanned aerial vehicles India is now trying to import. Now these particular MQ-9B high altitude long endurance unmanned aerial vehicles, they will be assembled in India, and for that particular thing, India is signing an agreement with the USA. They will help in better intelligence, better surveillance over the India's boundaries, as well as reconnaissance. It means keeping an eye on your territories so that enemy is not infiltrating. Okay. Now, when we talk about this MQ-9B drone or UAV that we are importing, it has two variants. One is a Sky Guardian variant and other is a Sea Guardian variant. Okay. Now, this Sea Guardian variant specifically will be imported for the naval forces. It will be imported for the naval forces, and it can fly over the horizon and can fly over 40 hours. 40 hours. Okay. So this is something that we are going to import it. Okay. Now, it can help to keep a better eye on the line of actual control, and already on this particular line we have signed, cabinet committee has cleared this particular deal, and the Mr. Joe Biden and the Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi, they have also closed a deal. So other formalities they will be completed by February 2024, and deliveries of this particular UAV will be coming around 2027. Okay. So this is all about this particular development. Now this development can be used in the converging points between India and USA. So whenever you talk about relation of any two countries, we talk about irritants between those countries and we talk about the convergences between those two countries. So here you can use this particular example that how India US relation is converging. Fine. Example of defense collaboration. Example of defense cooperation. Sea service. Sea service. Now this article is from editorial section. Okay, now what this article is talking about, you can use it for India Sri Lanka relation. GS paper number 2. GS paper number 2, India Sri Lanka relations. Now, when we talk about India Sri Lanka relations, India Sri Lanka has civilizational ties, it has cultural ties, people to people ties, economic ties. In fact, recently when Sri Lanka was facing economic crisis, India was the country which helped Sri Lanka. Even India helped Sri Lanka to get a bailout package from IMF. So when Sri Lanka wanted the bailout package under the extended fund facility of IMF insisted on the guarantee from the biggest creditors, and India gave that guarantee for Sri Lanka. So India has always been supporter of neighborhood first policy, and in that capacity India reaches to the neighbors whenever it is needed. Now when we talk about India and Sri Lanka, a particular aspect of relation is the people to people ties. People to people ties. Now guys, you might be knowing this particular thing that a large number of people from Tamil Nadu were taken in Sri Lanka during the colonial periods to work on the plantation. So large number of Tamilians are living in Sri Lanka, and at the same time from Sri Lanka large number of people have migrated to Tamil Nadu also. So between Tamil Nadu and Sri Lanka there are people to people ties that are there, and for that connectivity is very important. In the past, many services to ensure a robust connectivity between northern Sri Lanka and Tamil Nadu has been taken up, but large of them did not fared well. Now one new connectivity project has been started. New connectivity project has been started. So what is this connectivity project? So basically, a passenger ferry, a boat or a passenger ferry has been started between Kanken Santhurai, which is in the Sri Lanka's northern provinces, and Nagapattinam in Tamil Nadu. So between Kanken Santhurai of Sri Lanka and Nagapattinam of Tamil Nadu, this ferry services has been started. Okay, and it will meet a long-standing demand to provide the connectivity across the Park Strait. Across the Park Strait. Now, understand this particular thing, guys, that in the past there were some connectivity connectivity projects. Such things were going on in the past. For example, Talai Mannar to Rameshwaram, Colombo to Thuthukudi. These were some connectivity lanes that were there, but they actually got disrupted because of civil war, and over the last few years, largely because of the ignorance, they got disrupted. Now, what has happened? This Nagapattinam Kanken Santhurai service has been started, and it is going to strengthen the people to people relations, cultural relation, and also economic relations between the two countries, as when seamless transfer of goods, services, and people will happen, obviously economic benefit will also come. Moreover, during the disaster management, for the disaster cooperation also, these ferry services can be utilized. Now, Article is providing this particular thing, guys, that if the better connectivity is there, if a seamless connectivity is there, then large number of refugees who came from Sri Lanka to India and are out right now living in Tamil Nadu, they can also consider going back to Tamil Nadu if a better connectivity is there. Now, article provides this particular thing, that now the most important thing which is important to make it a success is that government needs to give a dedicated focus on this particular ferry service. First of all, there are some concerns in this particular service. Concern number one, a high fare. So a fare of more than 7,000 rupees is there. It says that this fare is very much comparable to the fare of flight between India and Sri Lanka. Because of this particular thing, many people might not prefer the ferry, and over a period of time it might become economically unviable and it might get discontinued. So this is something that needs to be focused. The next thing it says is that baggage allowance of at least 50 kg should be allowed, so that even if fare are same, people prefer this ferry because of the high baggage allowance that is being given. Also, also when we talk about Nagapattinam port, from where this ferry service is being operated, from Nagapattinam to other parts of Tamil Nadu, let's say Chennai, connectivity is to be focused. Amenities at Nagapattinam port is to be developed. Okay, for example, dormitory, so that people can stay overnight if in case they have to carry the journey elsewhere. Okay, and other rail connectivity, etc., should be taken up. Moreover, policy makers, on the part of Sri Lanka should also promote this particular project. Should also promote this particular project. So this is something that is now needed to be focused upon. Project has been taken up, but its economic viability over a period of time is to be ensured. Fine. So this is, guys, all about this particular article. Moving on to next article. The measure of the working women. The measure of the working women. Now, this particular article, we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 2, social justice, issues related to women. GS paper number 2, we are going to see this particular article. Now, what the article is talking about? Article is talking about the burden of domestic responsibilities, burden of care work that is there on women. Now, women are the one who are devoting a large number of amount in domestic work, but that work is not economically recognized, and even these efforts are never have been accounted in the accounting systems. Okay, now article starts with the basic premise. Article says this thing, that when we talk about the dynamics of family system in a family, let's say there are children, then it is an unwritten agreement that a male parent, father, will be going out, will be earning the livelihood, female will be staying home, will be taking care of the child, and female will not join the labor force, will not be becoming the part of the economic activity. This is something that is expected. But if the country, if India has to become a $5 trillion economy in near term, then women also include in economic activities. Women also include in economic activities. Often, women's work, even let's say if it is a domestic work, care work, this particular work should be appropriately valued. It should be given some economic value. Otherwise, it is often ignored. It is often ignored. Now, recently, if you have followed regularly, we have also taken a few days back economic Nobel prizes that was announced, and economics Nobel prize was given to the Claudia Golden, who has researched onto the gender disparity in labor market, how women are given the low salaries for the same amount of work. And Claudia Golden, she has also provided this thing, that large number of time women are trapped in domestic work. This work is neither economically recognized nor it is accounted. And in India also, large number of women are spending their time in domestic care work. For this particular thing, when we take now here time use survey of 2020 data has been taken. Now, time use survey of 2020, it was released by NSO, National Statistical Office, which works under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. So this time use survey provides this thing, that 81.2% of all women are engaged in unpaid domestic services, and just 26.1% of men are involved into the unpaid domestic work. So you can see the gap, 81% women and just 26% men. So women have disproportionately been involved into the domestic work, which is not economically valued. And when we talk about average time, men spend 42 hours, fine, within the production boundary means in economic activity that is counted as job, they are spending 42 hours, okay, fine. Now at the same time, women are just spending 19 hours, on economic activity. Why? Because women have to be at home, they have to do work. At the same time, women spend around 34.6 hours on domestic work looking for children sick. Men spend just 3.6 hours. So one tenth of what women are spending. One tenth of what women are spending. Now this particular thing is problematic. First of all, because women has to do a lot of domestic work, burden of double shift becomes problematic for women. Burden of double shift or double burden. Now, what is the burden of double shift or what is double burden? So, women are working in two shifts. First shift is to do their domestic work, and second shift is to go at office and do their job. When women are going to office, there is nobody which is taking their responsibility back at home. They are the one who have to do both the things simultaneously. So double burden increases on them. Okay. And even the effort that they are spending, for it is not counted in economic accounting system. And it is said that if you give economic value to the women's unpaid work, then it will be equivalent to 7.5% of GDP, according to a State Bank of India SBI report. According to an SBI report. So therefore, article says this particular thing, that government needs to change the accounting systems or accounting standards, and government, while calculating GDP, while calculating the economic, while calculating the national income, should consider the women's contribution. Otherwise their work will remain invisible. Is it clear or not? Fine. Further, it has also been provided that even often women's work. Further, it has also been provided that women, even often, they're working at construction sites, and when they're working their construction sites, they have to carry their children along with them. So according to a study by Harvard researchers in 2013, they have provided that often when these children are playing at construction sites, they are getting exposed to many of the harmful conditions which impact the brain development. So for this particular thing, now why women have to do that? Because babysitters are expensive. Nobody is there to take the responsibility of the children. In this capacity, there was the national creche scheme that has been taken up by the government, and already there are 6,500 creches that are there in the country. Now these creches should be strengthened more, so that they can cater the demand of all the working women, so that women can focus on their career and can build a robust career. Okay, fine. Now, one more thing, that if these government crashes under the national crashes scheme, if these government crashes are not there, what is the only option? Only option is to go for the private daycare, private crashes, but they are very expensive, and poor people are not able to afford that. Then women need to again turn to the home responsibilities, have to take a mommy track. So this is something that is to be focused upon. Now, article says this particular thing, that when we talk about the women's labor force participation rate, it is 32.8% according to government data and 24% according to World Bank. Now, guys, recently there was female labor force participation rate that was released by NSO. There it was said that it is around 23.2%. My point is that you will have a large number of data on female labor force participation rate depending which year's rate you are taking, which organization's rate you are taking, but it has hovered around 25 or 26% only. Now, when we compared China's when we compare about the China's labor force participation rate, it is 61%, Bangladesh 38%, Nepal 29%, Pakistan 25%. So point is that we need to aspire to increase the female labor force participation rate to higher levels if we want to utilize the women's potential, right? So this is something that has been provided in this particular article. Fine. I hope, guys, that you have understood it. And now, moving to next article. The explosion of digital uncertainty. Okay, let's take the doubts. Okay, so here is one doubt, sir. I have to give my first attempt in 2026. So should I make note of newspaper from today onwards or not? Okay, so dear, tell me what other option you have to not to make the notes. Now understand this particular thing, that if you are not making any note or any diary, you will not going to remember after 15 days what you have read today. Don't trust your memory blindly, that what I will read today, I will be having it in my mind after 2 years also. So you need to make some notes, but making a note itself is an art. How to make the notes? You need to distill only the crystallized information from that particular note which you didn't know. Very generic information which you already know need not to be written again in the notes, because that is very obvious to you. You also know that thing. So distill. For example, this is an entire article. Take out of half a page information from that, okay, and make notes theme wise. Okay, GS paper number 1, all the women related issues at one place. Let's say GS paper number 2, health issues at one place. Okay, education related issues at one place. So thematic notes you need to make. Okay, moving on. The explosion of digital uncertainty. Now this particular article, guys, we are going to see with respect to GS paper number 3, threats of cyber technology. Threats of cyber technology. Threats of cyber technology. Now, what the article is, what article is talking about? So basically, you now we have actually taken large number of issues on this particular theme, that is AI. That is AI. It has been provided that artificial intelligence is bringing a lot of opportunities, but at the same time artificial intelligence is unleashing large number of threats, large number of uncertainties. It is often said that artificial intelligence is a black box, means we don't know what it will open up, we don't know what it will bring. Now this article says this particular thing, that recently what happened, the government of India recently released a comprehensive report on opportunities afforded by current wave of AI, artificial intelligence. But at the same time, artificial intelligence is also leading to a lot of digital uncertainty. It might replace large number of jobs. It might replace or it might outshine the human general intelligence. These are some digital uncertainties it is bringing. Now, article says this particular thing, that today we find this particular thing, that there is a kind of a cognitive warfare that has started. Cognitive warfare. Now, cognitive warfare means a mental warfare. Listen, there is one kind of a warfare in which bombs, missiles, guns, ammunitions are being used. That is one physical warfare, military warfare. But on another hand, there is a cognitive warfare. What is happening? Today, by very systemically using social media, today by systemically using artificial intelligence, perception of the citizens is getting changed. Understanding of the people is getting changed. Today, by little bit manipulating the algorithm of YouTube, I can show you specific type of videos over and over period of time, which will change your perception, which will change your perception for bad. So this cognitive warfare today is going on. And because of this particular cognitive warfare, today what is happening, institutions are getting destabilized. Okay. Manipulation of citizens have become very important. And today humans are being made a target of these cognitive warfare. Their perceptions, their thinking, their mindsets are getting changed. And more concerning thing is that humans even don't know, they are not even aware that such cognitive warfare is being carried against them. Now when we talk about government actually spends a lot of money, lot of resources to undo misinformation, disinformation. But today, with artificial intelligence, deep fake, what are a deep fake? Deep fake are synthetic media, synthetic videos, where you can make an altered video of a person doing certain things, saying something which he or she has never done. Okay, so today we see this, that synthetic media, okay, artificial intelligence can distort, manipulate information in such a clever way that you can never going to catch that. So it is being said that even today there are the fear of emergence of artificial general intelligence. Now what is artificial general intelligence? Understand this particular thing. Understand this particular thing. Artificial intelligence today is focused on narrow domain. For example, chat gpt, it is a generative AI. It can only generate text and only can give you response to the queries that you will add. There is one more platform, mid journey. What it can do, it can make the pictures out of the prompt that you are giving. But humans intelligence is far more than these platforms. For example, chat gpt can give the answer in prompt, cannot draw. Mid journey can draw. Human can write, can draw, can dance, can do analysis, a lot of things. Over a period of time, there is this artificial general intelligence that is emerging, which will have a human like intelligence, and supported by a lot of data set. It will even overpower, it will be even more superior than human, and then human will be replaced. A superior to human intelligence will be created, and then we find that they will replace humans in education, social welfare, everyone. So this AGI, artificial general intelligence, its responses, it impacts we don't even can imagine. So all these are the unintended consequences of AI that are going to come. So point is that the article is saying that it is difficult to see that how it is going to have a negative impact on jobs, how it will lead to economic displacement. So we need to be ready, and we need not to be over dependent on AI, and safeguards, checks and balances are to be incorporated. Okay. Sir, can you please repeat cognitive warfare? Cognitive warfare is a mental warfare, different from military or physical warfare. What is a cognitive warfare? Basically, by showing you specific kind of videos, by showing you specific kind of information, your perception, your mindset is getting changed. Okay. Moving on. The BRI at 10, some hits, many misses. Now, the article is talking about assessment of Belt and Road Initiative. Now, Belt and Road Initiative's 10-year anniversary has been observed in 2023. Belt and Road Initiative is a brainchild of China, under which China is building a maritime silk route, where China is developing the connectivity project between China to Asia to Eurasia. Even some specific countries of Africa have been included. So 10-year anniversary of Belt and Road Initiative was held. And recently, what happened? Third Belt and Road Forum for International Cooperation was also organized in China. Now, this Belt and Road Initiative is being compared to the China's Marshall Plan. Now, what is Marshall Plan, first of all? So, Marshall Plan was started by America after World War II, under which a lot of financial aid was given to Europe for the reconstruction of Europe, because Europe got severely damaged after the World War II. So, under the Marshall Plan, financial aids were given for the European reconstruction. So thus, on the same similar scale, China is also giving the aids under Belt and Road Initiative. So therefore, it is being said as the China's Marshall Plan. China's Marshall Plan. And one more thing, that after the Marshall Plan, the USA positioned itself as a global power, and USA emerged as a two superpower. So China also wants to showcase itself a more than the regional power, and they are going to use this Belt and Road Initiative as a Marshall Plan. Now, under this, China is going to sponsor motorways, highways, power plants, ports, railways, digital infrastructure, etc. And China provides this particular thing, that two-way investment. China has invested, and some other countries have also invested back. Two-way investment under Belt and Road between 2013 to 2022 has touched to $380 billion. And within this Belt and Road Initiative, hundreds of projects are being taken up. And one of the most controversial is China Pakistan Economic Corridor, which is a specific component under the Belt and Road Initiative. Belt and Road Initiative. Now, China Pakistan Economic Corridor is a connectivity project between China and Pakistan, and it is passing through illegally Pakistan occupied Kashmir. Through illegally Pakistan occupied Kashmir. From there, it is passing. Now, when we talk about the part of the Kashmir which has been illegally occupied by Pakistan, it is a sovereign territory of India. And how from the sovereign territory of India a project can pass? This is therefore China-Pakistan economic corridor. We have always shown the disapproval. Even we have not joined the Belt and Road Initiative because of this sovereignty violation of India that has been done by China because of this CPEC. Now, guys, if you are following newspaper regularly, you might be knowing about all these particular initiatives as we have discussed. Now, as China has taken up their BRI project, India in order to counter BRI, USA in order to counter BRI has also taken up many counter projects. For example, United States and Japan, they have come out with the US Japan infrastructure investment project. Okay, uh, in the Indo-Pacific region. There is IPF, Indo-Pacific Economic Framework. There is Build Back Better World Initiative, Build Back Better World Initiative that was taken up. Then, guys, recently, if you have followed in G20, also this India Middle East Europe corridor has come out. India Middle East Europe corridor has come out. Here, what is happening? India, USA, G20 countries largely, they are going to link India, West Asia, and Europe through the railway shipping lines. All these IMEC, India, Middle East, Europe corridor, Build Back Better World, all these are the response to Belt and Road Initiative. And in this also, climate, energy security partnership, healthcare, okay, highway, infrastructure, motorway, portways, all are being developed. So this is the response of India and Western countries to the China. Now, actually, Belt and Road Initiative is 10-year-old, but these Build Back Better World IMEC have just been started, and it is too early to assess that whether they are going to be credible counter or not, whether they are going to be success or not. We need to give some time, but we need to ensure that strategic investments are needed in the form of these initiatives to counter China. So this is, guys, all about this particular article. And with this, we come to an end to this session. And we will be now taking the mains practice question for today. Question says, women's unpaid work is responsible for 7.5% of GDP. In other words, not only do women should shoulder the burden of domestic work, but they also boost the GDP in process. Analyze in Indian context. So GS paper number 210 marker question. That is all about it. And guys, if you have liked the video, please do like the video because it helps our channel to grow. It pushes the YouTube algorithm to promote our channel and we can reach the wider audiences. So if you have liked, please do hit the like button, please do comment on the channel, and please do share the initiatives with your friends. So that is all, guys, for today. Now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much.